Ontario's housing market has officially reached its boiling point. What was once considered a local problem in Toronto has now spread like wildfire across the province. From Ottawa to Kitchener, even small towns like Peterborough and Barrie are seeing home prices soar beyond the reach of average Canadians. A simple detached home that used to cost around $500,000 a few years ago now easily sells for over $1 million, and buyers are lining up desperate, exhausted, and increasingly hopeless. The truth is, Ontario's housing market has stopped being about shelter. It's now an investment game. Families aren't buying homes to live in anymore. Corporations, developers, and investors are treating them like assets to flip or rent out. The result? Regular people are being pushed out. First-time buyers can't compete with cash offers, and even with higher interest rates, demand keeps outpacing supply. Meanwhile, construction can't keep up. Developers are sitting on land, waiting for prices to rise even more, while cities struggle with zoning laws that make it harder to build affordable homes. Every delay drives prices higher. Every policy gap widens inequality. Ontario's population is growing faster than ever. Immigration and job opportunities continue to attract people, but the number of available homes hasn't matched that growth. The ripple effects are everywhere. Young adults are staying with their parents longer, not because they want to, but because they have no choice. Middle-class families are downsizing. And for many renters, the dream of owning a home has turned into a nightmare of rising costs and zero stability. Experts are calling it unsustainable. Some say the market will have to correct itself, but others warn that the bubble could burst violently, with ripple effects across all of Canada. For now, Ontario's housing market remains a symbol of both wealth and struggle. It's a place where fortunes are made and lives are broken, where every price tag tells a story of a system that's no longer working for people who need it most. And as prices keep climbing, one question echoes louder than ever. How much longer can this last before the system finally breaks? If you're wondering why Ontario's housing prices keep climbing when logic says they should be falling, the answer is simple. Demand has never slowed down, and supply has never caught up. Ontario isn't just dealing with high prices. It's facing a structural imbalance that keeps pushing those prices higher year after year. Population growth is the biggest driver. With Canada's ambitious immigration targets, hundreds of thousands of new residents are moving into Ontario each year, especially into Toronto, Mississauga, and Ottawa. Everyone needs a place to live, but the housing supply isn't keeping pace. Builders can't construct homes fast enough, and many projects are delayed due to zoning restrictions, labor shortages, and skyrocketing construction costs. The result is predictable: more buyers chasing fewer homes. But that's not the only reason. Investors, both domestic and international, see Ontario's housing market as a gold mine. Big developers, investment funds, and even foreign buyers have snapped up properties, driving prices even higher. For them, homes are not about living. They're about leverage, profit, and appreciation. This speculation has fueled bidding wars that lock out first-time buyers and push ordinary families to sidelines. Meanwhile, interest rates that were supposed to cool the market have done little to stop the momentum. Even as borrowing becomes more expensive, desperate buyers continue to stretch their budgets, afraid that if they wait any longer, prices will rise even higher. This fear-driven market psychology keeps demand alive, even when affordability has completely vanished. And then there's the role of construction costs. Everything from lumber to concrete has become more expensive, and the cost of labor has surged. Developers pass those costs directly to buyers, and governments do little to offset them. Ontario's red tape and long approval processes make it even harder for affordable housing projects to move forward, leaving developers to focus on luxury units that generate higher profits. So, the cycle continues. Demand keeps rising, supply remains tight, and every year the dream of owning a home drifts further away. The truth is, Ontario's housing market isn't hot anymore. It's overheated. And unless something changes soon, this never-ending climb in prices could become the very thing that pushes the market to its breaking point. While buying a home in Ontario has become nearly impossible for most people, renting isn't much better. In fact, for many, it's worse. Across the province, rental prices have exploded, turning what was once considered a temporary solution into a lifelong financial burden. A one-bedroom apartment in Toronto now averages more than $2,600 a month. Even smaller cities like Hamilton, London, and Windsor, once considered affordable, are seeing record-breaking rent hikes that are crushing middle-class families and young professionals alike. This crisis didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of underbuilding, investor-owned properties, and policies that favor landlords over tenants. As more homes are bought up by large corporations and turned into rentals, everyday Ontarians are trapped in a cycle of rising costs with no exit. Students, service workers, and even teachers are being forced to move further and further away from urban centers, spending hours commuting just to keep a roof over their heads. The irony is painful. Canada promotes itself as one of the world's best countries for quality of life, yet many people in Ontario can't afford to live in the very communities they work in. Some renters are spending over half their income on housing, leaving little for food, savings, or health care. And for low-income earners, the situation is devastating. Shelter wait lists are years long, and affordable housing units are nearly impossible to find. What makes this even more alarming is the working homeless phenomenon. People with full-time jobs who still can't afford a place to live. They sleep in cars, couch surf, or live in overcrowded spaces. It's a growing symptom of a system that prioritizes profit over people. Landlords raise rents faster than wages can keep up, and eviction protections remain weak, allowing the cycle of displacement to continue unchecked. Experts are calling for rent control expansion, faster construction of affordable units, and stricter regulation of corporate landlords. But without immediate action, Ontario risks turning into a province where homeownership is a fantasy and renting is a lifelong trap. The rental market isn't just broken, it's collapsing under its own weight, and the people caught in it are running out of options. For years, government officials in Ontario have promised that relief was coming, that the housing market would stabilize, that affordability would return, that young families would finally have a chance to own a home. But as each year passes, those promises seem more like echoes in the wind. Prices continue to climb at record rates, leaving even the middle class wondering if home ownership is now just a dream from another era. The reality is, the government's measures haven't kept pace with the forces driving the market: foreign investment, low housing supply, and the rising cost of materials and labor. Every policy that was supposed to bring stability has instead added another layer of complexity, confusion, and frustration for buyers and renters alike. Developers argue that red tape, zoning laws, and long approval times prevent them from building enough homes fast enough. Meanwhile, homeowners sit on properties that double in value within a few short years, creating an uneven playing field between those who already own and those trying to enter the market. Government intervention has often focused on the wrong problems, trying to regulate demand rather than expanding supply. Temporary freezes, minor tax incentives, and rent control measures might sound like solutions, but they often push the problem further down the road instead of fixing it at the root. And as political leaders hold press conferences promising action, ordinary Ontarians are left asking, action for who? Investors continue to snatch up entire neighborhoods, turning them into rental empires, while average citizens face bidding wars just to find a modest apartment. The gap between promise and reality keeps widening, and with it, public trust erodes. The truth is, the housing crisis isn't just an economic issue. It's an emotional one. It affects the feeling of stability, the sense of community, and the very idea of belonging. Government promises alone can't fix that. What Ontario needs now is bold, transparent reform, streamlined building approvals, tighter oversight of institutional buyers, and incentives that actually empower citizens instead of corporations. Until that happens, every speech, every headline, and every press release will just be another reminder of how far reality has drifted from what was promised. Ontario's housing market stands at a crossroads, one path leading toward a full-scale meltdown, the other toward a long-overdue reset. After years of unchecked growth, speculative buying, and record-breaking prices, even experts are divided on what's coming next. Some say this is just a correction, a natural cool-down after a decade of runaway inflation in real estate. Others warn that this is only the beginning of something much larger, a bubble that's about to burst, dragging down everything from construction jobs to local economies. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. Home prices can't rise indefinitely, while wages stay the same. The imbalance is unsustainable, and something has to give. Already, cracks are showing, listings are sitting longer, sellers are cutting prices, and buyers are waiting on the sidelines, hoping for a crash that may or may not come. But even if prices drop, the real question is, will it be enough to make housing truly affordable again? Or will corporations and foreign investors simply swoop in to buy the dip, making sure the average citizen remains locked out? A reset would mean the system corrects itself without collapsing. Prices stabilize, supply increases, and ordinary people get another chance at homeownership. But a meltdown would be far worse. Bankruptcies, mass foreclosures, and neighborhoods losing value overnight. And with interest rates fluctuating and government policies in constant motion, it's impossible to predict how deep the correction might go. What's clear, though, is that the status quo can't hold. The province can't keep building luxury condos, while the middle class struggles to pay rent. Ontario's housing crisis has become a mirror reflecting the deeper economic divide, a system where wealth accumulates at the top and opportunity slips further out of reach for everyone else. Whether this ends in a meltdown or a reset depends on the next move from policymakers, banks, and citizens themselves. The storm is brewing, and no one can say for certain how long it will last. But one thing's sure, the next few years will define the future of housing in Ontario. It's not just about property values anymore. It's about whether the dream of owning a home in Canada survives at all.